Hello, ladies and gents. We're going to talk about three formatting things for your Civil War essay, or just in general, in this little video here. We're going to talk first about footnotes and how to insert a footnote. Then we're going to talk about headers, as in how to do the correct header on your page with your last name and page number. And then we're going to talk about how to do a hanging indent. And a hanging indent is what you need to use for your Works Cited. And the same skill or the same tool we're also going to use to talk about indenting large quotes, if you have quotes longer than 3 lines. If you take a look at the text on the webpage underneath this video, it'll talk a little bit about what time you can find each of those 3 things out. So if you're looking for only one of the 3, you can fast forward a little bit. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with footnotes. So footnotes, if you've never run into them, are very useful and they make your paper look super nice. This is an old student paper from a few years ago that you can look at here that's well formatted. And so what you'll see here is that footnotes correctly start at the bottom of the page. If you wind up with all your notes squished to the end, you've got endnotes accidentally and not footnotes. We don't want footnotes. And the other thing that you'll notice, so it starts on here with footnote 1, footnote 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So they continue from page to page as you go. And once you've used a footnote once, like let's see if we can find a good one here. Once you've used a footnote once, like oh well, here, this one here. You see Gary right here. That's a footnote for a source that's already been used previously. So those are like shortened footnotes. Once you've done something long once, like this Carl Zabrowski one here, anytime that you use it after that, let's see if she use that again. Then you can just shorten it down so that one could just be Zabrowski, for example. If it's coming out of a book, which it looks like most of these are, then it gets a page number at the end. So Smith 47 would tell us author last name Smith, page 47. If you're working offline, then you probably will not have a page number, and that's just fine as well. So how to get a footnote? Let's hang out right here. So when you are typing, you always want to insert footnotes as you go. Don't come back and do footnotes later. You will forget what's going on and life will be sad. So you need a footnote in 2 different types of places. Number 1, you need them after quotes. So you see this quote that our student author has used right here. At the end of the quote, after the periods of quotation, then you get this footnote citation right here, this little upsized number itself. The other place that you need footnotes, so here's a good one right down here, is when you are paraphrasing something. So this would be a fact that the student had found somewhere else. It came from another source. It's not her own idea or her own knowledge, but it's not a direct quote itself. So you need footnotes in both of those situations. To actually create a footnote, you're going to be looking for a couple of different things. Let's imagine that this statement right here is a paraphrase. We're going to put a footnote in here. Thing that I want you to notice too before we do this, see if this one's already 31 and this one's already 32. You're going to watch those change when we do our footnote in just a sec here. In Word, you're going to be looking for one of 2 places, depending on the version of Word you have. If you take a look at your menu up here, you're going to be looking in either Insert. Sometimes in older versions of Word, you'll go Insert, and then you'll be looking for something that says Footnote, usually in like a drop-down menu. On this version of Word, generally anything with the ribbon is going to have what's called a References ribbon right here, and References is where you will find all of the footnote, endnote, etc. type stuff. So we know that we don't want endnotes, right? We're going to insert a footnote. And generally what you want to do with footnotes is you just want to let it, like, leave it on its auto categories. If it gives you options, like start over, anything of that, don't click on any of that. Just leave it as it's said, and it'll do the job nicely. And so if we come back up, number 1, you see that it automatically jumped our cursor down here to the bottom where you could then type in your footnote information, whatever, you know, 3,22 or whatever the case might be. And then what you'll notice if we come back up to where we had our footnote here, this is where we just created our footnote, our blank one. And you note that this one down here used to be 32, but when we put our footnote in, it adjusted all of the footnote numbers afterwards. So it will do that for you automatically as long as you do not mess with anything. We're just going to delete that. It doesn't belong there. See this one back to 32. Okay, let's take a look real quick at the same essay in Google Docs, because a lot of you are using that. And we'll just go right up here. So in Google Docs, same thing, except here we are going to go insert, and then we're going to write down here footnote, and same thing. Right? So it just pops the footnote number in next to wherever you have the cursor, and then it brings you down here so that you can type in. And if we go back up, we see our footnote right there. So the thing to be careful of with the footnote is always to make sure that you put the cursor exactly where you want the footnote to appear. Obviously, you can drag it like any other piece of text. You wouldn't want to do that, but you can. It goes directly after the period with no space, or the punctuation more accurately with no space. Get rid of that. Okay, so that is how you create footnotes. And that's basically what they should look like, roughly at the bottom of every page. You can shorten them after you use them the first time, etc., etc. Okay. So the second thing that we're going to take a look at here, if we go back to Word, is we're going to take a look at how to do headers. So in order, this is like a general thing that's good to put on any sort of long paper in case pages get separated, etc. Usually what you're looking for is your last name and then the page number up here. So what some of you might know that the problem is that anything that you type in the header appears on every single page. So you have to know how to make it give you the different page numbers instead of just typing the same page over and over. So this again is usually a function of insert. Right up here, insert, and you're looking for header footer. Header, footer, we're looking for header. Sometimes it'll be like page layout, etc. In Word, you can generally get there just by kind of hovering your cursor in the header area and double clicking. So I'm double clicking on the left-hand side of the mouse or the trackpad, click, and it opens that up. So you're going to type your last name, in this case, a student last name Robertson, and then what you're generally going to look for up here, usually in whatever sort of menu you get when you open up the header footer, is for something that allows you to insert the page number. Excuse me. So in this case, it's right down here. You see this little drop down. Sometimes it'll be on like a floating toolbar. You can play around with it a little bit, but you want to make sure that you're not just typing like, oh, this is page 7, but you're actually inserting the page number. It's like a little widget, basically, to make sure that that does what it wants to do. The other thing that you might notice that Word is really nice about is that it allows you the option up here for a different first page. And this, we don't have this clicked here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can see what that looks like. And what that does, if we scroll up to our first page, it allows us to take the, like, so it doesn't say Robertson 1 up here, and then you already have your name as well. All right, so that's like a little side note, but Word does allow you to do that. Google Docs does not. See, Robertson 1. Get rid of it. All right. Let me click out of it. If we go over to Google Doc, just to double check on where we're at over here. Again, same thing with Google Doc. You should be able to kind of double click up here to open up the header footer. If you're looking to just go from the menu, it is under Insert. Yeah, Insert, and then Header. Right there is where you go for like the first time. And you'll also notice under the Insert menu, once you're in the header, here's that page number, right, for Google Docs. The thing that I'll caution you about with Google Docs, and you can almost kind of see that on here, for some reason Google Docs starts the header really high up, like it's really like right close to the top. And when you print it off, it's almost certainly going to cut it off or cut it partially off. So usually with Google Docs, I recommend that you just hit enter once. It's still inside of the header, but it gives you a little bit more clearance on the top of the page. Okay. So that is making a header. Make sure it's got your last name and the page number, and that's a good sort of standard thing for essays in general. Last thing that we're going to do is something that you may or may not have done in the past, and that is deal with making indents of quotes in a specific way. So we're going to take, let's see this little video. We're going to take this quote right here, and we're going to imagine that this is a really long quote. Now it's not. This one is fine exactly as it is, run into the text just like this. But anything that you had, if this ran, let's see, this usually we want to say over 3 lines. So if this ran 1 full line right there, 2 full lines right there, 3 full lines. This ran about that long or longer, then we would start to think about maybe wanting to offset it. What you're trying to do there is show that it's a big chunk of text that's not actually in your own words. So if we're going to imagine this quote right here is long enough that we need to offset it, which again, it's not. So first thing we need to do is we need to separate it out from the rest of the text. Right? So we want to make sure that we just the quote itself, right, on its own page. You just leave this like it is, sort of truncated. You can get rid of the quotes around it because we're offsetting it, so you don't need the quotes. And then we're just going to imagine this one. And then what you want to do is you need to take this. See, this is all in double spaced, right? So it all just sort of looks like part of the paper right here. You need to take the spacing just for that section. You just take the spacing. If it does that to you, like it just did to you, where it tries to do the whole thing, just add an extra enter. Separate it out. That should work. There we go. So you want to take that and make it single spaced, right? So that, again, it looks very separate from the page itself. And then what we need to do is we need to indent it on both sides. So this side needs to come in a little bit, and so does this side, so that it's sort of like center indented. And the best way to do that whenever you're indenting on pretty much any word processor is to look up wherever you get the ruler thing, the ruler visual at the top. And what you see here, these little tabs, they look kind of like an hourglass in Word, and then a tab right there. What those are doing is showing you where the text is aligned to. And on the left-hand side of the Word here, you get this little hourglass. The top part of the hourglass, little top indent thingy, that moves the first line. Oops, I have 2 indents in there. So it's going to move the first line of any paragraph that you've got highlighted. And then the bottom one, if we move that over to match, oops, see how it's dragging both of them? We'll fix that in a sec. The bottom one, if you move it over to match, will move the rest of the text. A lot of times when you move the bottom one, it likes to move the top one too, and then all you have to do is just grab the top one and move it back over to match. So now we've got that nice indent on this side of the page. I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's a little bit less complex. Up there. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay. So then that gives us a quote that is indented on both sides. We can do that, or yeah, that looks good right there. Usually just want a single space after it. So then we get a sort of indented text that creates a very strong visual impression that this is still a quote, and we would of course need a footnote right here, but that's indented like that. Again, if it is long, I'm just going to undo that with a bunch of controls. So fifth thing, let's just check out Google Docs real quick. Okay, oh, here we go, cool, same idea. So we're going to enter, we would take those quotation marks off, of course, as well. And same thing, it doesn't look quite so much like a hourglass up here, but you can still see this line at the top that's going to move that first line, and then the little triangle underneath, and it drags the both, of course. And you just, come on. It's a little dexterity. You just drag it right back. And then the same thing, of course, on this side. And the one thing that I haven't done that we would definitely want to do is make that single space as well. Okay. So that's indenting. The other place where you need this little skill of dragging the little thingy around is down in the Works Cited. So if you scroll down to the Works Cited page, oh, this isn't even perfect. So you'll notice that in this one in particular, when I transferred this from Word into Google Docs, it didn't keep the formatting, so it's a good place to check this out. So same deal, what you want in your Works Cited is you want those hanging indents. So it's basically backwards from the way you would normally indent a paragraph. We're going to leave this first line with atoms here all the way justified over to the left, and we're going to move everything else beneath it. And so to do that, we need to move just the bottom one. Sometimes it's really hard to grab just the bottom one, so you can just move them both and then grab the top one back. That's like, I do that a lot, so it's easier. And same thing, and if you highlight multiple ones at the same time, it should, let's see if this will do this for me, it should treat them as separate paragraphs. So you don't have to do it individually. You can just do like highlight the whole page. Okay. And it gives you a nice little hanging indent, and that's exactly what you want your Works Cited to look like. Okay. So that is how to insert footnotes, how to do headers, and then how to do indents, both hanging and then indented quotes in both Word and Google Docs for the Civil War essay and for any other word processing needs that you have. Thanks a lot, guys.